area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who has worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement.
I went to school with this Tyler Robinson kid. I'll show y'all. That's him right there, Tyler Robinson. I'm not trying to like clout chase, make this shit about me, but I'm not gonna say I knew this kid really well. I didn't know him very well at all, but I definitely saw him for like 3 straight years in high school. And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid. I don't know, I feel like if you were in high school around that same time, and even probably now, like 2018, and then like, you know, those kinds of kids, but that's exactly what he was. All I'm gonna say is this is the kind of shit that happens when you spend way too much time online, and all of a sudden your beliefs are all the way this way or all the way this way, and you do some dramatic shit to please these people that are not your friends. This internet shit is seriously no joke.
All right, guys, so before we get in this video, I just have to take a moment to let you guys know that I am sick to my stomach. I am sick to my stomach right now in regards to what I have seen from a country that I love over the past week. Okay, it has really been eye-opening experience in regards to where we're currently at in our political discourse as a country. Okay, because over the last week, I've witnessed essentially a significant portion of this country. I wouldn't say half the country. I think it's inaccurate to say half the country, but a significant portion of extremists on the left side of the aisle downplay a Ukrainian refugee getting her life stolen by a criminal on a light rail. I've seen them try to downplay that, okay? And then when you have a major political figure like Charlie Kirk, a conservative, a man of God, a family man, a father, a husband, a human being, another human being, when he tragically loses his life at the hands of what is obviously a left-wing extremist, a radicalized extremist, these people celebrate. They celebrated it. And to make it worse, now that we know who the assassin is, and we have clear evidence that the assassin is radicalized with far-left ideology, and we know this because the FBI and law enforcement told the public that the bullet casings were inscribed with anti-fascist, aka ANTIFA, and furry messaging, right? So we're talking about messages that are associated with the far left, okay? And we're going to go through all this stuff. At this point, it's an undisputable fact that this guy was radicalized with far left ideology. It's an undisputable fact. But you have people who are on the internet, liberals, Democrats, trying to convince people that the shooter was actually MAGA, a Trump supporter. To be more specific, he was far right, okay? Apparently we have far right anti-fascists now who also are into furries, right? We're going to get deeper into this, but I'm just giving you guys a sneak preview of what this video is about and how fired up I am about this, because this right here, again, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach to see people celebrate the death of somebody simply because they have a political disagreement with that person. And then in the face of the fact that it is clear that this individual was radicalized by ideologies that they at the very least sympathize with, they just deny the truth. They deny it.
Transpired here these last 72 hours.
Von Hilliard, thank you. Everyone, please stay close. And joining us now is criminologist Casey Jordan. Casey, so much happening so quickly here this morning. We're learning as well from our own reporting that there's no indication of a prior criminal record. This is according to searches of state national public records associated with the person, Tyler Robinson, and his date of birth. One of the most striking details that we learned from this press conference were, again, about those bullet casings and the inscriptions, "Hey, fascist," the words, "Bella Ciao," the words, "If you read this, you are gay." What do you see as the significance or what the message is that he's trying to communicate here?
Really, I would need to actually see these words in the way that they are on the bullet casings in the gun to make a proper interpretation. But just knowing what those words are, I'm kind of overwhelmed with how immature it all sounds, and that there is no really chronic theme. I think Brandy really nailed it. You have to make of it what you want, because, you know, it's like, "Sees bulges, if you're reading this, you're gay, you know, catch this fascist," or "Hey, fascist, catch." It's like the rantings of a really immature child. And
some major news. A new uncovered photo of the alleged Charlie Kirk shooter shows him wearing a Trump costume in 2017. This image is going incredibly viral on social media right now, and it's a post from 2017. It reads, "Happy Halloween. So weird not trick-or-treating with the boys this year. Off they go. Hashtag Trump costume." And right there is the alleged suspect, Tyler Robinson. If you zoom in, you can see that his Halloween costume that year is a Trump costume. Now, this comes after days of people on the right speculating that the shooter must be this crazy liberal with all of these insane ideologies, but the alleged shooter is wearing a Trump costume reportedly back in 2017. So again, I'm not here to establish a motive. We have no idea why this guy allegedly did what he did. We'll learn in the next days, weeks.
Charlie Kirk's killer, Tyler Robinson, he's not black. He's not trans. He's not Muslim. He's not an immigrant. He is not a Democrat. Meet Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson. He is a white, Christian, conservative, Republican male with a gun again. And statistically, when all of this was going on, when Fox News started declaring war, when Jesse Waters and Laura Ingraham, which recklessly tried to rile up their base that somehow the left was in charge of this, statistically, I knew that this was probably a white male, as all shooters are. And this seems to be MAGA grown terrorism. MAGA is a culture that embraces unrestricted access to guns.
Wow. I'm speechless. I can only imagine. Oh, I can't imagine. I actually can't imagine, because I have a soul. So no, I can't imagine what type of person you must be to knowingly gaslight and lie to your followers about what you know is the truth about this guy. I just cannot imagine what type of human being must you be in order to willingly do that with a straight face. So we're going to get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Again, like I told you guys, these people are claiming that this dude is a Republican, which is not true. His family is a family of Republicans. There's no evidence that he is Republican. But even if he was Republican, Republican is a party. It's not an ideology. What I'm concerned about, what is his ideology? I think you dumb down the conversation when you start talking about Democrat, Republican. Again, those are just political parties, okay? The political parties have ideologies, but it's not black and white. There's a whole lot of gray, okay? In this scenario, right, in this situation, what is clear is that he does come from a family of Republicans, okay? But a high school friend confirmed to The Guardian, okay, according to The Guardian, that this guy was a leftist, right? The friend who the Guardian interviewed said that Robinson was pretty much left on everything and was, quote, the only member of his family that was like really leftist. The rest of his family was very hard Republican, like gun loving, everything, the friend said. He was really the only one that was on the left. The friend said he was stunned when he saw the news on Friday that Robinson was the suspect in the Kirk case. I knew he had strong political views, the friend remarked, but I never thought it would even go near that far. So again, what we have here, confirmation from anonymous friend, right? Anonymous, but it matches up with everything that we know about the guy, okay? Which is that this guy, although he may have been raised in a conservative Republican family, he was a leftist. But for whatever reason, liberals, Democrats, progressives are acting as if it is impossible. It is totally impossible for a left-wing extremist who hates Charlie Kirk to come from a Midwestern conservative family. Except we can easily find that on networks like CNN, for example.
I hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn, but he's very, very strategically minded.
Wow. Again, according to these leftists, it's impossible. This doesn't exist. A far left extremist that hates Charlie Kirk. Something that was said openly on CNN. And CNN just nodded along to this. They platformed this, okay? CNN platformed this. A white male from a conservative family in the Midwest, it is impossible for them to hate Charlie Kirk and to be a far left extremist, except it's so not rare that you can find it on CNN. That it's literally platformed on CNN. That's how common this is. These people are pretending like they never heard of liberals coming from conservative parents, right? You know, the same people who always complain about how conservative their parents are, right? These progressives, oh, I don't like my parents. I'm disavowing my parents. I'm disowning my parents because they support Trump. Now they're pretending as if it is impossible for a progressive, a far left extremist to have conservative parents or to be raised in a conservative household or to have parents who are Trump supporters. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So anyways, when it comes to the actual shooter, what he believes, again, it is clear that his ideology is far left. Okay. Let's start with what he allegedly told his family at a dinner that set them off. Now, again, his family, I'm pretty sure most of you guys know the story, right? His family, his father was a sheriff, and his father turned him in along with the minister as well, too, after apparently he came back home, right? So he ended up driving home after assassinating Charlie Kirk, and his family recognized him from the photos and the videos and the stuff that the FBI was putting out, and they ended up turning him in. And apparently he didn't want to be turned in at first. There are reports that he would rather off himself than be turned in. Okay, or at least that's allegedly, what had happened. So let's read about this. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, made chilling remarks about the conservative commentator during a family dinner in the lead up to his murder. Robinson, 22, brought up Kirk's visit to Utah Valley University on September 10th and spoke of his dislike for the 31-year-old MAGA influencer. Family members told investigators. The family members also told police Robinson had described Kirk as, quote, full of hate and spreading hate. Yeah, so let's pause here because I have to break down, again, why is it that these conspiracy theories from these leftists who are in denial, okay, about the reality of this situation, why their conspiracies are so stupid. They're basically trying to claim that this guy was some groyper, a Nick Fuentes fan, and this far-right groyper decided to assassinate Charlie Kirk because Nick Fuentes didn't like the fact that Charlie Kirk wasn't far-right enough. That is the theory, right? That's the theory. This theory makes absolutely zero sense, okay? Because, again, we already know that Antifa ideology was inscribed on the bullet casing. So apparently we have Antifa, groyper, Nick Fuentes fans now, right? Apparently that's a thing according to these leftists. But furthermore, what type of far-right extremists would assassinate somebody because they're full of hate and spreading hate, right? How many times have you heard a far-right extremist talk about people spreading hate, right? How many times have you ever heard that from a far-right extremist? I don't think I've ever heard that. But I have heard from a lot of leftists about being so concerned with people they disagree with spreading racism, hate, and bigotry. Now, again, I just want you guys to use your brains, okay? Use your common sense. This can't be too hard to figure out, right? Which extremist, far right or far left, is more likely to be concerned about hate or spreading hate? A far right extremist or a far left extremist? This is not complicated. Again, anybody that is pretending that this dude is not a far leftist, again, I just honestly, I have no words. You're just as bad as the people that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. You're at the same level at this point. If you cannot acknowledge the obvious, okay? Robinson's comments raised a red flag among his family, so much so that they told police about the conversation following his arrest for Kirk's murder. It was Robinson's father who ultimately turned his son into law enforcement. Sources told the Daily Mail that Robinson confessed to his father, Matt Robinson, who owns and operates a construction company. Matt had recognized his son in photos shared by the FBI and confronted him about the shooting. Yeah, so again, extremely sad situation. The kid comes from a good family. He was raised the right way. And something led him astray. And again, that's the real conversation we should be having. How is it that a kid that comes from a good family, how do they become so radicalized in the opposite direction to then assassinate one of the leaders of the conservative movement? How does that happen? That is the real conversation that has to be had. But it's a conversation that the left, they desperately don't want to have, which is why they're in denial about why this happened and the ideology behind it. But to me, right, if you use your common sense, the answer is staring us right in the face. This kid went to university. When he left his parents' household and he went to university, that's probably where the radicalization started, because we know how far left these institutions have become. Yes, even in a place like Utah, the educational institutions can be far left. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And he could be radicalized. And furthermore, right, if he spent so much time online as reported, yeah, it is totally possible that the radicalization could have started in university. And then he went online and delved deeper into it and got more radicalized online. Absolutely 100% possible. That's actually probably what happened. That's the most likely scenario that led up to this, to be honest with you. Let's dive further into the evidence here, okay, that this guy was a far left extremist. Let's talk about the words that were allegedly inscribed on the bullet casings. Bella Ciao, okay, what is the meaning of this phrase that people are associating with Antifa? One of the phrases scrawled on a bullet casing belonging to Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson is a lefty Italian anti-fascist phrase associated with World War II. Oh, Bella Ciao was written on one of 3 unfired casings recovered after Kirk's killing, Utah Governor Spencer Cox said during a press briefing Friday morning in announcing the arrest of the 22-year-old suspect. The slogan is the title of an anti-fascist song popularized after World War II by left-wing Italian partisans. Singing the song is a hallmark of Liberation Day in Italy, which is celebrated every April 25th and commemorates the fall of Benito Mussolini's fascist regime, though there is no evidence that the song was known or popular at the time of the conflict. The slogan has been embraced by the global left and was famously sung by trade unionists in May 2023 to taunt conservative Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Yeah, so what you have here is a phrase that is associated with the Antifa theme song, right? This is literally the theme song of Antifa. In fact, if you go on TikTok and you look it up, you can literally see people on TikTok waving Palestinian flags, which is associated with what? the far left, Antifa, okay? It's associated with the communist movement, okay? They're literally using this song in their advertisements online. Now, I'm not going to play the song because of copyright, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. But again, somehow, some way, again, this is associated with the far right. Far right, according to BlueAnon. Okay, fascinating stuff. Let's go to some more inscriptions that were allegedly on the bullet cases. You have this phrase, notices bulges, OWO, what's this? This phrase references an internet meme tied to animated videos and furry culture. OWO references an emoticon, and what's this denotes cuteness or curiosity. It's frequently referenced by video game streamers. According to BlueAnon conspiracy theorists, apparently we have far right groypers who are into animated videos, furry culture, Antifa. I'm trying to figure out like how this makes sense, right? Apparently, you have a far right individual who happens to be very interested in things that are normally associated with the far left, okay? Apparently, this is a MAGA guy. According to BlueAnon, MAGA guy. Again, this is what I try to tell you. Anybody that's claiming that this dude is MAGA, I just don't have any words. I don't have words. The amount of dishonesty is just, I just can't imagine being that dishonest, right? I just can't, because I have an actual soul, right? I have a soul, okay? But I think it's actually deeper than that, to be honest with you guys. And I'm going to tell you guys what I believe here in a little bit in regards to why these people are just denying reality, despite the fact that reality is clear, right? About the motive behind this. But let's continue here. Another one read, "Hey fascists, catch," okay? With a series of arrows that point up, right, down, down, and down in reference to a cooperative shooter video game called Helldivers 2. Okay, the input is the code for an airstrike. It has morphed into a meme and is used to imply a devastating reaction to something that should be destroyed. Okay, so what you have here is obviously an individual that did not like fascism, right? And he definitely thought that Charlie Kirk was a fascist, okay? And who runs around calling people fascist all day long? Leftists and Democrats. The third unfired casing, according to Cox, said, quote, "If you're reading this, you're gay." LMAO. Now, leftists are using this as proof and evidence. A leftist would say something like this. Clearly, they're missing the actual real meaning behind why he wrote that, right? This is clearly a sinister joke because he knew that the people who would be the first to read what's on the bullet casings would be law enforcement. It would be the FBI. It would be officials in the Trump administration, right? He knows the audience, okay? And it's almost like a joke. It's like, oh, haha, you reading this, oh, you're gay, right? I think clearly kind of a reference to the perceived homophobia that comes from the right. So again, it's like a sinister joke that is not hard to get if you actually sit down and think about it and piece it all together in a way that actually makes sense, right? It's just him playing off of, the perception that conservatives, right-wingers, or whatever are homophobic, right? So it's like, oh, you're reading this, haha, you're gay. Don't you feel bad about that, right? Like that's kind of what it is. It's sinister, it's sick, but this is not hard to understand what the intent was here and why he wrote this. In the context of the fact that we knew that he was one of these weird online Reddit kids, which again, Reddit is overwhelmingly what? A left-wing space, okay? So again, all of the facts and evidence is leading in one direction, but again, leftists are denying this despite knowing deep down inside that this dude is a far leftist, right? And the reason why I know this is because Hassan Piker, who we all know is one of the poster boys for the far left, basically is acknowledging this out loud, that this guy doesn't sound like a far right guy, right? Let's read his post. Tyler Robinson, Kirk's alleged shooter, came from a Mormon family in both law enforcement and the military, but I'm not so certain if he himself was right-wing. A lot of the memes posted on the casings are ironic or of the left variety, different than previous far-right shooters, aka This dude knows, because he's steeped in this stuff. He knows this stuff. He knows all of the Antifa, far left slogans. He knows all this stuff, okay? He's acknowledging, yeah, this is stuff that we do on the left, right? This type of stuff we say on the left. Like, this isn't the type of stuff that right-wingers say, right? Oh, just because he had a conservative family, right? His family was conservative. You know, they had guns growing up. That means he must be conservative at the time of the shooting, which, again, that's what really matters. It doesn't matter what he believed in 2017, right? That's what people are talking about. I don't know what he believed in 2017. I don't care what he believed in 2017. What I do care about is what he believed at the time in which he decided to assassinate Charlie Kirk. And what he believed at the time that he assassinated Charlie Kirk leads me to believe that he was far left. That's the only rational conclusion I can come to, given the facts that we have right now. In no sane world can I look at the facts objectively and say this kid was far right. That's insane. Absolutely insane. And this is why I say that every denial, the reason why they're denying this so hard is because it's the truth. Every denial is an admission of guilt. They know. They know exactly what ideology influenced this kid. And because they know, they cannot acknowledge the truth. Because according to their followers, their far left followers, words of violence, right? Words of violence. And in their minds, the truth is violence. So any of these leftist influencers, these Democrat Party influencers, if they came out and acknowledged the truth to their followers, their far left followers, their radicalized followers, essentially that would be like them, in the eyes of their own followers, committing an act of violence, right? To acknowledge the truth about what ideology influenced this assassin. And the reason why Charlie Kirk was murdered comes from the very left-wing idea that words are violence. And in their minds, that is what justifies violence in response to words. These are the same people that are now on the internet telling us that, well, Charlie Kirk was a violent person. His words were violence. Charlie Kirk was not violent, but they have to frame it that way because otherwise there's no way to justify it. So anybody coming out here saying, well, Charlie Kirk's words were violent, that is them justifying and rationalizing an act that is unjustifiable, that cannot be rationalized. You cannot rationalize killing somebody for words. But in the minds of these far leftists, they have already done that. And that is why their influencers are afraid to tell the truth, because they're afraid of their followers. They know how their followers react to the truth. They know how they react to the truth. And because of that, that's why they can't tell the truth. And that's what we're dealing with, guys. And that's why my stomach is so sick in regards to what is happening in this country. Once you understand how deep this goes, it really makes you sick. That it is impossible for one side of the political aisle to acknowledge the truth about what happened in this situation, because their followers are so radicalized, they're so extreme, that, again, the consequences of telling the truth could be fatal. And again, that is where we're at in this country. That is where we're at. And it's sad. It really is. It is a sad, sad, sad moment in our country. So, again, anybody out here trying to pretend that this dude was far right, MAGA, Trump supporter, I don't know how you live with yourself, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be able to live with myself, lying, deluding myself like that. But, you know, hey, I'm speechless at this point. I just don't have any words for anybody that would lie so blatantly about something like this. But again, I kind of get it. When you really understand why they do it, why they have to do it, I kind of get it. But it should really tell you something about the type of people that you're appealing to. If you can't even tell the truth without fear. It's something to think about. Something to think about. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.